Now the final track in our entire car setup series is Portugal, and boy is this a fun track to end on. This circuit hasn't been on the official calendar since 2021, and that's a huge shame. The track layout with all of the undulation and unique corners provides such an entertaining drive. There are a good number of different corner styles, with fast corners through to much slower turns, and some corners such as turn 4, as well as most of the final sector, combine huge elevation changes with fast corners, making for some really entertaining and thrilling segments. Much like Qatar, this is a circuit I could drive for a long time without getting bored, but I'm going to stop raving on about how enjoyable this track is, and I'm going to jump straight into the car setup. Now for the aero, I've opted for a relatively low downforce approach with 27 at the front and 30 at the rear. This gives your car a huge boost in a straight line, making this actually feel pretty OP compared to the AI. I had to really increase the AI quite substantially while testing this car setup, as I could simply drive straight past them in some areas. The higher rear aero provides much needed rear stability, which is really tested through some of the faster corners such as turn 4. For the transmission, a pretty traditional approach of 52% on throttle and 51% off throttle is the order of the day. This gives good traction and good rotation into the slower corners, making up for the lower front aero setup. I've set the camber far right for both front and back, and then I've really tweaked the toe to emphasise stability. The front toe at 0.02 reduces drag and stops the car from being too twitchy. Then I've really increased the rear to 0.25, and this provides excellent rear stability, and we can get away with the excess drag as the aero setup is on the lower side. The suspension setup for Portimao is much more traditional compared to our previous setup at Paul Ricard. Go with 19 and 5 on the suspension and 10 and 2 on the anti-roll bars. These values are on the lower side to again help with a little bit of stability. A stiffer approach could cause your car to really misbehave over the big bumps and the elevation changes. Then for the ride height, go with 35 and 39. Now I'm running our normal brake setup of 100% pressure and 55% brake bias, as this provides the most even braking setup. Then, much like Paul Ricard, I've set the tyre pressures individually. The left of the car gets really punished more than the right, and this means that the left tyres wear much faster. We can help combat this a little by setting the front left tyre to 22.5 while keeping the front right at 22.7 psi. Then I've done the same at the rear with a rear left of 20.1 and a rear right of 20.2. And that completes not only our Portugal car setup, but also our complete F123 car setup series. This is the final track in the game, and this setup now means I've created a dry car setup for every single track. For those that have followed these car setups and commented on each one, thank you for your support, and don't worry, this isn't me done with F123. I'll be continuing to release F123 tips and tricks videos along with various other sim racing and F123 content. I'm also planning a wet car setup series, so for those who have asked about the setups, they'll be coming shortly. If all of this content sounds interesting to you and you've liked the previous F123 content, consider subscribing. But for now, really enjoy this setup and I'll see you out on track.